Hi, this is John Arana, and I am here with Karen Arana, who is our special guest. It's my wife. My wife of 43 years.
43
Can you
years.
imagine that?
Yeah.
It's crazy. But anyhow, it's been an awesome journey. We've learned a lot about marriage and relationship, and we're here at the Drop talking about how to have the benefits of having a transparent relationship. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about 5 ways in which transparency makes your marriage healthier. And so we're going to be talking about that. And but in the meantime, how we're doing through the winter months here in Texas. It's
Oh.
pretty easy, right?
Yeah,
Pretty good.
It's pretty easy compared to where I'm from, Boston.
Boston.
Yeah, I mean,
They just had tons of snow
yes,
a
they
couple
did.
weeks ago.
Yeah, and I don't miss that. Yeah, because being raised over there, you learn how to drive in snow.
Yeah.
And over here, I don't think people know how to drive in snow.
Oh, no.
Or ice. But
Or
it's,
ice.
It's hard to drive in ice.
Nobody can
Yeah,
drive.
but back there, to be fair, we have chains on our tires, and we have
Sometimes special snow tires.
yes, snow tires.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but I'm enjoying it. It's fun. We're
It's
having a
nice.
good time, and
Yeah.
looking forward to
Hey,
some.
hey, remember we used to take a lighter
Oh,
and heat up our key
yes, we did.
to be able to get our key
Yes.
into the
Yes.
key slot to be able to open the door.
Yeah, those were great days.
I don't miss that.
I don't miss that.
I don't
either.
miss it at all.
Yeah.
So anyhow, thank God for winter in Texas.
Yes.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. So we're going to talk about 5 ways in which transparency helps your marriage get healthier. And so I love this subject matter. So the first point is transparency in marriage builds trust. And I think, in a way, what I think about that in our relationship is that as you grow in your transparency, then, the fear and the insecurity diminishes.
Yeah, that's true.
And that sense that, hey, I have confidence that this person has our best interest in mind.
Yes.
And I think it as you engage, it helps you to feel secure. It helps you to feel more confident about each other.
Yes.
And therefore, I can rely on you. I can rely on what you say. I can rely on what you really tell me that you feel because I know it's authentic.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
transparent.
That's good. Yeah.
And I think I know in a way also that my spouse or the person that I'm with is acting in good faith towards me
Yeah. That's
because
good.
there's that transparency. So we get to know each other better.
Yes, we do. Yeah, it's true, and it does take time. That doesn't happen overnight. Now,
Yeah.
I just kind of thought
That's a
about
good
that.
point.
Many
Good
years
point.
of learning and relearning, and
Yeah.
possibly even discussing some of those very deep inner things
Yeah.
that you need to discuss to get to this place.
That's right.
Yeah, it just doesn't instantly happen. It's an investment
Yeah.
into your marriage so that you will grow
That's right.
close and you will
Yeah.
trust more.
One of the things that I like about building that trust is you don't feel you have to be snooping around anymore.
Oh yeah. Why, you were snooping around in the beginning? No.
But don't you remember at the
Yeah,
beginning when we
yeah,
first got married, you would go out to go to a store or buy something or just window shopping, whatever, because
Sure.
we didn't have any money back then. But anyhow, you would go and I would be like, where were you?
Yes, you did ask me.
Remember that? And
Yeah.
I would say, what took you so long? Why were you gone so long? And you were like, what's
Yeah.
up with you?
Yeah. Well, that's a really good
Right?
point, because I think you begin to start learning some things about your spouse. He needed reassurance.
Yeah, yeah.
And I don't know if he had seen someone shop for way too long, or, I don't know where it was coming from, but I identified that.
Or somebody that said they were shopping when they were somewhere
Oh,
else.
well, okay, so you're not talking about our marriage.
No,
but-
not you,
But
not
you are
you.
talking about some issues that people have.
Sure.
Again, in we're talking
Or
about
that we
building
all
trust.
have that affects our level of trust.
Yes. Yes, and so I had to reassure. And so one of the things that we did there is we kind of talked about it, and I said, well, if I'm going to be more than 15 minutes late, I'll just give you a call. Or back
Yeah.
in the day, though, I think I had to go to a phone
Payphone,
booth.
payphone.
25 cents in the phone booth.
Yeah,
Now it's a
yeah,
lot easier.
yeah,
But again, it's just reassuring
yeah.
maybe a vulnerable area that you
Sure.
had.
Yeah,
And I had mine too.
yeah,
I can't think of one right off, but it definitely has to be said,
yeah,
because if you was quiet about that and it kept happening, I think there's this thing called vain imagination.
yeah,
And sometimes we think of
yeah,
things from our past,
yeah.
and we might try to bring that to the forefront of the marriage.
Exactly.
And
Yeah. Oh,
yeah,
and that's what happens when people hide
yes,
their real
yeah,
fears
mm-hmm,
or their real insecurities, and they
yes,
try to pretend that they don't
mm-hmm,
exist.
yeah,
What happens is it creates resentment,
yeah,
and it creates that frustration
mm,
because I'm fearful that something's happening,
mm-hmm,
which might not be happening, but the fear that I feel is real.
yes, it is,
And
yes,
since I don't have that level of trust to talk about it,
mm-hmm,
it just irritates me even more because I
sure.
feel trapped within these
Oh,
feelings.
that's a good point.
And I think
Yeah.
that's why it's so important
Mm.
to learn to be transparent,
Yes, and
you know,
share your
and
feelings.
share how you feel.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
sometimes people don't, and so
Yeah.
it holds back,
Yeah.
and it doesn't allow that part of the marriage to
Yeah.
flourish.
And
Mm-hmm.
you have to build trust
Mm-hmm.
in order to build a relationship.
Yes, it's
So
critical.
the
Yeah.
second one that we have here is transparency in marriage fosters intimacy. I
Mm-hmm.
really, really
Yeah,
like
that's a
that
good
one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the more we get to know each other,
Mm-hmm.
the more transparent we can be,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and the more connected we feel
Yes.
to each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's like if I'm willing to be vulnerable to you and you're willing to be vulnerable to me, then there's nothing that stands in the way. We are
That's good.
connected,
Yes, we are.
and when we're connected, we feel intimate,
Yeah, that's true.
And I think
Yes.
that
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people think that intimacy starts in the bedroom,
Mm-hmm.
but intimacy starts with being transparent and being open and
real.
being vulnerable to
Yes.
each other
Good. Yeah.
and sharing your heart and sharing your thoughts. And I think that's real intimacy.
Yes, I think so too. And I think that when all those elements are in place, your marriage goes to a deeper level.
Yeah.
And I don't. If you're not willing to do this, then I think your marriage could be kind of superficial in
Yeah,
some areas,
yeah.
maybe, and you're missing out something really huge,
Yeah.
which is going to that deep
Yeah.
level of intimacy. And I feel like we've learned how to do that. 43 years
Yeah.
of working on that, and we still have new areas that come up that
That's
we
right.
have to
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
sit
yeah.
down and talk a little bit about.
Well, what's interesting is that, obviously you don't know this when you first get
Mhm.
married,
Yeah.
but as your marriage grows and your
Mhm.
marriage progresses, you get older.
Is that what's happening to us right now?
Well, I used to have hair. I
And
have nothing now.
And I have gray hair now.
Now you have gray
Yeah.
hair. I got a gray beard. But so it's not like you stay the same.
Yeah, no,
You
definitely not.
change and you evolve and you mature and
Yeah.
you might change to a degree that the other person is saying, "Whoa,
Yeah.
what's happening
Sure.
here?"
Yeah.
And I think that's why you have to constantly keep working it.
Constantly.
And that's why you have to
Yes.
develop these skills as
Sure.
early as possible. Because the other thing, in my opinion, the older we get, the longer we've been married, there are deeper things to talk about.
Yes.
There
there
are the
are.
changes of life, the changes of your physiology, the changes of your employment or
Sure.
the future, or what are you
Yes.
going to do when you retire, or
Absolutely.
if you retire. I mean, there's your grandchildren and your children's marriage. There's a lot of complex things
Yes,
that
yes.
line up, but I think that when you learn to be transparent and you grow in that area, you feel so connected
Yeah.
that it's so much easier to talk
Sure.
about those complex issues.
Yes, and one of the things that we have here is that no topic is off limits, and each partner knows the other is acting with
That's right.
honesty.
Yeah.
And I just want to address that off limits thing. There are times that we don't want to open up for whatever reason,
Yeah.
and I think that as a couple, we have to give people some time.
Yeah.
But if we ignore that,
Yeah.
then we are also missing a deep element.
Yeah.
We have to look at the best. We have to have the best interest of our spouse in mind.
There you go.
And
there you
so,
go. Yeah.
if I'm holding something,
Yeah.
you're trying to help me grow and get more healthier.
Yeah.
So, I may not be able to talk about it, but you're going to address it, and you have.
Yeah.
Maybe down the road. How
Sure.
are you doing with that area?
Right.
Are you ready to talk a little bit more about it?
Right.
Yeah, and so that's the non-topic,
Yeah.
a topic that is not off limits.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think the other angle about this that I was just thinking about is some people, I've talked to some couples that they're trying to achieve this high level of intimacy by talking about deeper subjects, but they don't even practice it in the little matters.
That's huge.
So it's going to be very difficult to reach that deeper level of intimacy when we don't even have the foundation
That's
of the
good.
little things.
Yeah.
And I think that if we want to grow to a deeper level of intimacy, we have to start with the simple things. With the little things.
Could we
You
think
know,
of an example?
I was
of a
thinking
little
about some
thing?
examples
Yeah.
like, you might say to me, hey, do you like this here on this corner of the house? And I'm thinking, I really don't. I really don't even like it. So now I should start with little things like that,
Sure.
but I got to get wisdom. I got to get wisdom because
Yeah.
I can't look at you and say, oh, I hate that there. You're going to go like, whoa, So I have to say, well, honestly, I would probably prefer that to be somewhere else.
Okay. Sure.
So I it's almost like they say, I got to let you down easy.
That's good.
I got to say it with wisdom
Sure.
because it shouldn't be an attack on you. It should be
That's a
just
good
a
point.
simple opinion, a preference, The same thing with choices of maybe furniture or choices of whatever. If we're in this life together and we're sharing it together, then I think we should have a say on some
sure.
things.
Yeah.
But you got to start with the little things.
That's good.
And
And
if-
grow into the bigger things.
Yeah.
And get good at the little things.
And get good
Yeah.
at the little
that's
things.
good. Yeah.
Because it's not going to make or break our marriage whether we put something there or not.
Right.
You might then come back and say, well, the reason I really was thinking about putting it here is because when the sunlight hits it, it's getting the perfect light and that plant's not going to die
Yeah.
or whatever.
Sure.
And I'm going like, oh, okay, wait a minute. That makes sense now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what I like is everybody is able to contribute to the decision.
Yeah.
It's not your decision or
Right.
my decision, and that's what marriage is all about.
Yeah.
And the intimate part of that is that we both are
Yeah.
giving our opinion, our view,
Yeah.
and it's considered.
Yeah, and I think that's
Yeah.
what creates intimacy.
Yes.
That's what creates us feeling we're together, we're one here, and we're working at this together.
Yeah.
Whether it is the finances, whether it
Yes.
is
Yes.
how you raise your kids.
Absolutely.
I mean, obviously it's a process. It's not a
Yes.
switch that we flip and all of a sudden, we have this incredible intimacy. But people have to work on that, and that's
Yes.
why transparency is one of the real skills that gets us there.
Yeah, and that goes right into our next point.
Okay.
Because right away I was thinking about what if we don't agree?
Yeah.
And so transparency in marriage fosters a low conflict relationship. So you've already identified that it's very important to start almost practicing
Yeah.
these little things.
Exactly.
Because you're learning how to give in a little bit.
Yeah.
You're giving your opinion.
Sure.
You know, we don't agree on a lot of
Yeah,
things.
yeah.
We don't disagree on a lot of things
No,
either. But
no.
when it comes to the big things,
Sure.
we've already learned how to work through
Yeah.
and keep
Absolutely.
it at a low conflict.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not saying that we're perfect, and I'm not saying that we don't have conflict.
Oh
We
no! All
have.
you gotta
Just
do is
ask
look
our,
at us, and
or,
you realize we're not perfect.
or just ask our kids, and they'll tell you.
Yeah, they'll tell you. They'll tell you the whole truth.
Yeah, and then our grandkids too. But you know, it's really important because who wants to be in a marriage that's constantly
Yeah.
conflicted?
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah.
we don't, and that
Constant,
will
yeah.
kill intimacy,
Whew,
right? Like
that's a lot
dead
of
on the
work.
tracks.
It just drains you.
It does.
Energy
Yeah.
wise, it drains you in your good vibes, your good feelings for one another. It's just a killer.
It is.
It's just a
Yeah.
killer, you know.
It is.
But that doesn't mean you're not going to have conflict. But
Yeah.
it does mean that the conflict that you do have is going to have a low impact,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
in your relationship.
Yeah, that's good.
Because you already have a deep level of trust involved. You already have a deep level of realizing, hey, she's not trying to pull one over me.
Right.
She's just sharing an honest preference that she has.
Yeah, that's good.
And she's not, you know, barking an order at me.
Sure.
She's just sharing what she thinks. And I take it that way.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I take it as a good conversation piece that we can then talk about something.
Yeah, and that's good. And you know, it's so funny because sometimes we will have to set something aside for a while.
Yeah.
Because if you know, because we don't want it to get to a place where it is going to really hurt our intimacy.
Yeah.
So we'll pick it up again later. Maybe
Right.
somebody needed a break, or you needed to
Yeah.
know, even go and pray sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes you have to.
That's a good
Because-
idea to pray.
Yeah, you know, we don't want to be selfish. I want to consider his interest, his best. I want to
Yeah.
have your best interest,
Yeah.
and it's not this. I'm going to get my way, but yet sometimes I feel that way. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
You want, you know, like you really feel passionate about
Yeah,
an
yeah.
area.
Oh, yeah. You
So-
get your way a lot. No.
He's so sweet, but he does really listen to me and really cares about.
Yeah.
You really care about what I think, and I love that.
Uh-huh. I always say, okay, what would you like, honey?
do,
What would
do.
you like, honey? What would you like, honey?
You do. You're good about that. Yeah.
But I think one of the things that this does is it also helps you to realize that when you're honest with wisdom and respect, when you're honest with each
Yes.
other and you try to talk on a regular basis and you don't let things pile up where then you explode
Yeah, that's
because
good.
one little conflict causes that bubble to pop.
Yes.
Then you realize, man, it's a pretty good relationship here. It feels pretty good.
Yes, it does.
You
You're
know?
in the zone.
Yeah, and you're in a groove,
Yeah,
and
in the groove.
you begin to live life, and
Yeah.
you begin to realize this is a nice
Yeah,
thing
it's a
we
nice
got
one.
going
It's
here.
like a dance that we
Yeah,
do. Yeah.
it's like a nice dance that now is beginning to flow, and you don't feel like you have to be on guards, and you don't feel like you have to prove your point
Yeah.
and prove yourself, you know.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, people still have their preferences, you know,
Yes.
but overall, it does. I can see in our life experience how it fosters low conflict,
Yes, it does.
and it's a good thing.
Yeah, it's good to look back and see that. And you know, again, it doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
You know, but also I'm just gonna kind of throw this in because I think it's really important. When you get to that place that you just can't seem to make the progress
Yeah.
with that conflict,
Yeah.
you know, you take time, you go, you think about it.
Yeah.
But we're real big on coming to each other and saying, I'm really sorry if I hurt you.
Yeah.
We have done that
That's important.
over and over in our
Yeah.
relationship. And it just breaks that thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have learned not to let something go on, because if it does, things get in your heart.
Yeah.
And then you want to talk about killing intimacy.
Yeah.
You got to really go back and build back
Absolutely.
up. Whereas you could have easily
Yeah.
just cut
Yeah.
that thing off,
Yeah.
ask for forgiveness.
Yeah.
You know,
It was a small thing, and it turned into
to
a
huge.
huge mountain.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's one thing that we really do
I
try to
think
do.
I think one of the other things that I feel we've learned and we
Mm-hmm.
practice is that if we have a conflict, even
Mm-hmm.
if it's a low conflict,
Mm-hmm.
low energy, low intensity conflict, I think that when we're not on the same page,
Mm-hmm.
we'll even say, I know I say it and I know I've heard you say it. We say, you know what? I need to pray about that.
Yeah.
You
It's
know,
true.
let me pray.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like I'm gonna be Moses going down up to the mountain, coming down with the Ten Commandments and tell you what to do.
Mm-hmm.
That's not it at all. I think when I say that is because I need time to process and I need
Sure.
time
Yeah, that's
to
good.
pray and get my thoughts together and hope that God will put some things in my heart so that it gives me maybe a better perspective
That's
than
good.
what I have.
Sure.
So that then we go back
Yes.
and we say, well, you know, I was thinking like this, but now I'm thinking like this. And I think that, you know, we can so much easier resolve that conflict.
Yeah, it is. It is. And when you're growing in your marriage, you're maturing in this area.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, we're kind of like, well, I'm going to hold on to my position.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when we mature and we care about the other person,
Yeah.
we go and we pray. God begins to show us maybe even that our approach was wrong,
Yeah.
or we were being stubborn, or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Or
it's really
selfish.
good to do, or selfish,
You know?
and it's really good to do.
Yeah.
We try to move forward in agreement, and you're
Yeah.
not going to get in
That's huge
agreement
for us.
if you have this conflict or your
Yeah.
heart wasn't right.
Yeah. I remember somebody said, I'd rather be successful than to always be right.
That's a good
You know,
one.
you could be right, but not necessarily
Yeah.
successful.
Yeah,
You know, and so
absolutely.
I thought, man, that's a real good attitude.
Yes.
I'd rather be successful in my marriage
Yeah,
than think that I always have to be right,
sure.
because you could think that you're always right, and then you're not going to succeed at your relationship.
Yeah, that's true. And I do see that in some relationships, that one person kind of is thinking that they're right all the time. And
Yeah.
what does that say to the other person? That
They're wrong all the
well,
time.
not really that only, but my position doesn't matter.
Right.
My opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And so we've learned to really talk about that and
Yeah.
even be open
Sure.
and saying, I'm sensing that maybe you think you've got the best way.
Yes.
Sometimes I would even say that. Oh, my way is the better way, and he would be like, "Oh yeah," like, and we would.
You're
talk
like, oh, I
about,
have a better
I
idea.
have a better idea. It's just a habit that I say I have.
I've seen that.
But we have talked about that and
Yeah.
called each other on that.
Yeah.
And not in a bad way, but just say,
Yeah.
well, I really thought my idea was pretty
Yeah.
good. Do you mind if I share it?
And no, there are
know?
some times
Yeah.
where I feel that my idea is the best idea.
Absolutely, and
For
then
sure.
and then I'm like, wow, your idea was super awesome. But it's okay, because that's also a humbling thing. That's
Right.
a mature thing. That's like, I don't have to prove to you that
Yeah.
my way was the best, or
Sure.
vice versa.
Well, I'm not
Yeah.
always going to be right.
Yeah,
You
and that's
know?
why it's so important when we come together and talk.
Yeah.
And really discuss these things,
Yeah.
because both of us can bring some amazing
And
things to
that's
the
what makes
marriage.
that's what makes the marriage healthy.
Yes, very
and
helpful.
enjoyable.
Yeah. Yes,
Enjoyable.
sure.
Because you want to be married, but you want to enjoy your
Oh,
relationship.
absolutely.
Which
Yeah.
kind of brings me to the next point: is transparency in marriage makes each partner's expectations clear. I think that's a big one. I think that's a big one, because I remember when we first got married 43 years ago, I had no idea what you expected of me. You know, I knew I love you. I knew I was committed to you for life. I knew that I was going to try to be a good guy, you know, but I mean, we knew so little about what you expected,
Sure.
what I expected,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah,
But
it wasn't
as
on
you
the radar at all, I don't think, in the beginning.
you have no
Yeah.
idea
You have
what
no
you're doing.
idea. Yeah,
We didn't.
Yeah. Well,
but-
most people don't, because the
Yeah.
training wasn't there, and
Right.
that kind of thing. So
So I think as you grow in being transparent, you know, you do it because maybe sometimes you're forced to do it because you don't want to hurt your other
Sure.
partner. You don't want to hurt your spouse, you know? And so as you learn to say, well, this is really what I meant, or this is
Yes.
really what I'm trying to say, or this is how I feel about this, it makes things clear.
Yeah, it's
You know,
important.
it makes things more clear, and I can think of practical things like little things from the kitchen and leaving cups around.
I'm laughing because this is an issue that we have that
leaving
we're
leaving your shoes around when you just walk in, boom
Yeah,
boom,
yeah.
take your shoes off
Sure.
and just walk in. And again, my tendency to be obsessive sometimes with how clean everything has to be, how orderly everything has to
Sure.
be. And I remember you and I, man, we had it out one time, and you were saying, because I wanted everything to be just right,
Perfect.
nice and
Yeah,
neat and
yeah.
clean in the kitchen, and you were, and you were never dirty. You've never
Yeah.
been dirty, and you've
Yeah.
never been totally chaotic and
I'm
messy.
just I'm a little messy. I mean,
A little
I'll
bit.
have to admit it. I call it creative messy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember that time we had it out, man.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you were like, you know what? I want to be able to enjoy my
Yes,
house.
uh-huh.
I want to be able to enjoy my kitchen. And really, the kitchen is my domain. And you said, I'm willing to consider
Yeah.
you, but, you can't be, dictating how everything's going to be
Sure.
everywhere in the
Sure.
house,
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. And then you told me, and I want to be able to feel happy
Yeah,
in my house and
sure.
feel that I can enjoy my house without being always worried
Yeah.
about whether I left a cup or something.
Sure.
That changed me. That
Oh,
conversation.
good. That's awesome. That's wonderful. Because see, we would
Yeah.
have never come to an
Yeah.
agreement if you didn't share your expectations.
yeah.
But if I stayed quiet, one day I say Mount St. Helen would erupt. Because
Yeah.
if we don't express our expectations,
yeah.
then we're going to get a little upset inside.
Oh,
And so something might
Yeah.
trigger that, and then before you know it, now we're in a big conflict.
yeah, exactly.
So, and again, it's that openness that says, okay, I can give in a little,
Yeah.
you can give in a little. I want to feel comfortable here, but you want it to be a little organized. So it's not this demanding thing. It's saying,
Yeah.
okay, I'll kind of come over
Sure.
your side, you
Exactly.
come over my side.
It's a give
But
and take.
It's a give and take. Yeah.
But I think what that conversation opened my eyes, because I realized, man, number one, my wife doesn't feel like she can enjoy her house, and number two, I want my wife to enjoy her house.
That's good.
And
Yeah.
it almost like it crystallized that expectation,
Oh, that was good.
and I
Yeah.
thought, of course I want to give this to her. Of
Yes.
course I want to be a
Sure.
part of this,
Yeah.
And really it's better to say, of course, I didn't want to get in the way of that for her. You know
That's
what I
good.
mean? Because it's
Yeah.
not like I have to give it to you. It's like I don't want to get in the way of it. And but that was a lightning rod that just kind of opened my
Interesting. Yeah.
understanding.
Yeah,
and I
that's
said,
good.
yes, I want my wife to be
That's
happy in
nice.
her own house.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the last one is, before we close, is transparency in marriage fosters a sense of security in relationships.
Yes.
And I think that is humongous.
It is very huge.
Because if we don't feel secure in our marriage, then we're going to feel the opposite, which is insecure.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to feel like maybe you don't think I'm good enough. Maybe you don't think that I'm a good enough husband, or a good enough lover, or good enough dad, or whatever. So transparency
Yes,
opens
yes.
that door
Yes, it does.
for us to feel secure with one another, for us to know the reality of things, that, you know what, there are some things she doesn't like
Yeah,
about
that's
me,
good.
but overall, she's totally committed to me, and I feel secure because I know her heart. We have opened our hearts. We've become vulnerable. I don't know. I'm going around in
No,
circles
that's
here, but
really good.
but I mean, what
Yeah.
about you? What do you think about
Well,
that?
I definitely, security is huge, and I
Right.
think it comes from affirmation.
Yeah.
I think it comes from knowing that you have proven that you're going to be there for each other no
Yeah.
matter what. I think that's huge in a marriage. You know, loving me in my vulnerable areas.
Yeah.
You know, there's so much to feeling secure.
Sure.
But I think it's huge, and you know, to never demean when someone is vulnerable or insecure, because we all have insecurities.
Yeah.
Loving us through that area of insecurity,
Yeah.
and we've both had to do that.
Sure.
And building each other up in that area,
Yeah.
because we're never going to open up if we don't build up.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
That's
So,
good. That's good. I think that when you feel insecure in a relationship, you always underline, maybe even subconsciously, you feel like I have to prove myself. I have to prove myself.
Yeah, that's true.
And you might even try to prove yourself in the wrong way by thinking like this is the way we're gonna do it because this is what I say, you know. And you go like, wow, looking out and looking or looking in, you go like, hey, dude, relax, man, you know.
Yeah.
But or hey, lady, you know, chill, because it comes out of a heart that feels insecure.
Yeah, which you move into a controlling aspect, because if I
Yes, there
can
you
just
go.
control this
Yeah,
situation,
yeah.
I know what's going to happen.
Yeah, yeah.
I you know, and that's not healthy.
No.
Yeah, but
No.
we do that because we're afraid.
Yeah, exactly.
And the fear factor.
But the
comes in.
beautiful thing is that when you grow in transparency, then you grow in that security.
Yes.
And when you grow in that security, you can chill, you can enjoy each other,
Relax.
you can give and
Yes.
take,
Yeah.
you know, you can flow with
Yes,
it.
absolutely.
You know, you don't live this tense life always thinking, oh my gosh, what is he going to say or what's she going to
that's
say?
good.
And
Yeah.
and so it really is such a blessing.
It is.
And that's how you build
Yes.
a healthy marriage. That's how you build a healthy relationship. Your
That's good.
expectations are clear.
Yes.
You know, you have low levels of conflict. You know, you feel intimate. You know, I mean, these are huge things. And the door that opens all that is transparency.
Yes. Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah.
And when you were saying that, I just saw building blocks. I
Yeah.
saw a block upon another block, you know, and it just gets stronger and stronger. But that foundation is
Yeah,
there.
it's there.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, wow, great stuff.
Great
This is-
stuff.
wow,
Well,
and
here we are at the drop. John Arana, Karen Arana, my awesome wife of 43 years, and we're at the drop, just trying to drop some truth and bringing life, especially through this month of February, talking about relationship and all that. And next episode, you're going to meet another special couple, and they're going to talk to you about their journey and their relationship
forward
and
to
some things that they have learned, and they're at a different phase of life than we are, you know, so you're gonna get a nice different perspective from them. So I think you're gonna enjoy it.
Yes.
Tune in next
Tune in
episode. Tell your friends, subscribe, and it's a blessing to see you. God bless you,
Yes.
and thank you, Karen, for being here
Oh,
with
it was
us. And
great.
you did
I
an
love
amazing
it.
job.
Thank you.
Did a
It was
great job.
Wonderful. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you for having
So
me.
we'll see you next at the next drop.